She texted, "I am filing for divorce. The lawyer says I get the house and half your salary." I replied, "Okay. Whatever your lawyer thinks is best." Then I emailed her lawyer a scanned copy of the ironclad prenuptial agreement she signed 5 years ago. When her lawyer called her back and told her she was getting absolutely nothing. "We are aiming for 1,000 subscribers. Your support brings us closer. Subscribe and be part of the journey." I, 34, male, had been with Sophia, 32, for 8 years, married for 5. I was a data scientist for a renewable energy firm in Boston, earning $125,000 a year. She was a curator at a prestigious contemporary art gallery in the South End, making around $100,000. We lived in a minimalist condo in the Seaport district with views of the harbor. Our life was a performance piece, composed of gallery openings, charity galas, and dinners at places like Menton. Our friends were her friends, a collection of artists, collectors, and critics who valued aesthetics above all else. Before we married, I had insisted on a prenuptial agreement to protect a small inheritance from my grandparents. Sophia had laughed it off as a quaint, unnecessary formality, but she signed it. The opportunity that would change everything arrived on a drizzly Thursday. It was an offer to become the head of data analytics for a major energy consortium in Houston, Texas. The position was a massive leap in responsibility, a chance to build and lead a team at the forefront of the industry. The compensation package was staggering. It included a base salary of $250,000, a $50,000 signing bonus, and significant stock options. I laid out the details for Sophia that evening. We were sitting in our perfectly designed living room, the city lights reflecting off the polished concrete floors. She listened with a detached amusement. "Houston?" she asked, a small, dismissive laugh in her voice. "You want to move to an oil town? It's a cultural wasteland, Caleb." I talked about the career path, the financial security, the chance to do meaningful work. "My entire career is built on the Boston art scene," she stated, her voice losing its light tone. "My contacts, my reputation, everything. You want me to trade that for a life in the suburbs surrounded by oil executives?" It is not a serious suggestion. The conversation was over before it began. Update 1. I told Sophia I would think about the offer, implying I would turn it down. Secretly, I had already accepted the position. I just needed to finalize the details. She, believing the matter was settled, became more brazen in her mockery. She enjoyed telling the story of my absurd little offer at dinner parties. "Caleb wanted us to move to Texas," she would say, her friends tittering in response. "Can you imagine me in cowboy boots?" Her circle treated my ambition as a charming but foolish eccentricity. They saw the world through the narrow lens of their own elite bubble. My career, which they did not understand, was easily dismissed. Their validation meant nothing to me anymore. I began to methodically untangle my life from hers. I opened a separate bank account and had my signing bonus wired there. Late at night, I researched real estate in Houston, finding a modern townhouse in a neighborhood called the Heights. I started selling some of our shared assets, like a collection of vintage watches, telling her I was consolidating investments. Each sale was a quiet step toward my own future. Update 2. 4 weeks before my start date, I told her my decision. I sat her down at our long, marble dining table. I told her I had taken the job in Houston, and that my move was already scheduled. I explained that I wanted her to come with me, that this was a chance for us to build a life that was truly ours, not just an extension of her career. Her polite mask fell away, replaced by an expression of pure, cold rage. "You did this without telling me?" she asked. "I tried to talk to you about it." I answered calmly. "You refused to listen, because it was a fantasy?" she said. "This is our life. Here, in Boston. This is the life you designed," I replied. "I'm just a part of the collection." The confrontation was brief. It ended, as I knew it would, with a final, non-negotiable demand. "You either call them and turn down that job, or this marriage is over," she said. I looked at the woman I had spent 8 years with. I realized she had never seen me as a partner, only as a supporting character in her own story. "My flight is in 4 weeks," I said. Update 3. The final month in Boston was a sterile, silent affair. Sophia communicated with me only when absolutely necessary, her words clipped and formal. She alternated between giving me the silent treatment and making tearful, last-ditch appeals for me to stay. She promised she would be more supportive. Her promises felt like a business negotiation, a tactic to get what she wanted. I remained detached, focusing on the logistics. I packed my belongings methodically, the condo growing emptier and more cavernous each day. The silence was a relief. On the day the movers came, she was gone. A single note was left on my pillow. "I'll be staying with friends. My lawyer will be in touch." My first impression of Houston was the overwhelming sense of space and energy. The sky was huge and blue. I moved into a 3-story townhouse with a rooftop deck that looked out over the city. It was mine. The next morning, I drove my new Porsche Macan to my office, a gleaming skyscraper in the energy corridor. The atmosphere was professional, driven, and unpretentious. I felt a sense of belonging I had not felt in years. Update 4. I thrived in Houston. My work was challenging and deeply rewarding. I built a team of brilliant analysts, and our forecasting models began to have a real impact on the company's strategy. Away from the constant judgment of Sophia's world, I rediscovered a confidence I had long since buried. I made new friends, people who were interested in ideas, not just appearances. My financial life was unrecognizable. 6 months into the job, after my team's work led to a major strategic success, I received a performance bonus of $75,000. I was not just comfortable anymore. I was wealthy. It was around this time I thought about the prenuptial agreement. I was so thankful I had insisted on it. Sophia had always seen my income as a joint resource to fund her lifestyle, and I knew any separation would be a battle over assets. The prenup was my only shield. My old life began to circle back. Former friends from Boston sent tentative messages, hearing rumors of my success. I kept my replies short and polite. I had nothing to prove to them. Update 5. My company was featured in a major article in an energy industry trade journal. The article highlighted my team's innovative work, and I was quoted extensively as the head of data analytics. A professional photo of me in my new office was included. The article found its way to Boston. Sophia's first text in months was a single, stunned question. "Head of data analytics." Another followed. "You never said it was a leadership position." My sister called me a few days later. "I owe you an apology," she said. "Sophia told the whole family you had a breakdown and took a low-level analyst job." She made it sound like a demotion. The article had dismantled her narrative. My parents called, their voices filled with pride. They admitted Sophia's story had worried them deeply. The truth was finally surfacing. Update 6. She appeared at my Houston townhouse a month later. She said she was in town for an art fair. She looked thinner, her usual confidence replaced by a fragile uncertainty. I let her in, and she surveyed my new home with wide eyes. "You've done well," she said quietly. She told me she had made a terrible mistake. She said Boston was empty without me, that her career felt hollow. She claimed she had changed and that she wanted to try again. I listened to her entire speech without saying a word. When she was done, I simply asked, "Did you see your social media posts after I left? The ones captioned on to better things. The picture of you at the gallery gala with the hashtag uncaged. It didn't look like you were missing me, Sophia. It looked like you were celebrating your freedom." Her expression flickered. "I was hurting," she insisted. "No," I replied calmly. "You were crafting a new narrative. The triumphant single, freed from her boring husband. I just don't fit that story anymore." Update 7. After I rejected her attempt at reconciliation, she escalated things dramatically. A week later, my phone buzzed with a text message from her. She texted, "I am filing for divorce. The lawyer says I get the house and half your salary." It was a declaration of war, her final attempt to control me and my success. I replied, "Okay, whatever your lawyer thinks is best." I felt a strange sense of calm. I walked over to my desk, unlocked my file safe, and took out the prenuptial agreement we had signed all those years ago. It was a simple, clear document, protecting all pre-marital assets and any future income derived from career opportunities pursued individually. Then I emailed her lawyer a scanned copy of the ironclad prenuptial agreement she signed 5 years ago. I attached a polite brief note. When her lawyer called her back and told her she was getting absolutely nothing from my new life in Houston, her campaign of manipulation came to an abrupt and final end. Update 8. A year later, My life was stable and peaceful. I had been promoted to a senior director role at the consortium. My financial situation was secure beyond my wildest dreams. I had met someone. Her name was Dr. Anna Flores, an astrophysicist at Rice University. Our relationship was built on a foundation of intellectual curiosity and genuine affection. It was quiet, real, and deeply fulfilling. Sophia sent me a final email. It was short and to the point. She was moving to London for a new job. She said she was sorry for the way things had ended. I typed back, "I wish you all the best, Sophia," and deleted the message thread. Final update, I was attending a charity fundraiser in Houston. During the event, a man approached me. It was Sophia's father. He was a kind, decent man whom I had always liked. He told me he had heard about my success and wanted to congratulate me. Then, he looked me in the eye and apologized. He said he was sorry for his daughter's actions, sorry that he and his wife had always enabled her relentless ambition at the expense of her character. She never learned that a person's worth isn't determined by their salary or their address. He said sadly. As I drove home that night, I thought about Sophia's final, threatening text. It was never just about the money. It was about control. It was her last attempt to assign a value to my life and claim half of it. The prenup was more than a legal document. It was a statement that my future was my own. The great lesson I learned was that you cannot build a life with someone who sees you as an asset to be managed. True partnership is about mutual growth. When I got home, Anna was on the porch, watching a meteor shower through her telescope. She smiled when she saw me, and we watched the stars together.